disaster in this matchup, by the way. That card's really, really good. Now, see, Tom, now he understands the goblins. That's what I can appreciate here. He's got 4 copies of Tarfire, as you should, given the format. Deathrite Shaman is a disaster to play against, and finally someone's done it. What I've wanted to do for so long, they've chopped the Incinerators. There's only one to tutor for.
Okay.
Because the card is so bad in the deck now.
And 4 Tarfire is very nice against Deathrite Shaman, as you mentioned. Delver of Secret, Stoneforge Mystic.
Goblin Lackey.
Yes.
The test. Do you have an answer? Do you have an answer?
One of your 2.
Lucky.
One of your 2 Force of Wills, or one of your 2 Disfigures, or one of your 3 Deathrite Shamans.
Think about it this way. Look at what Goblin Lackey just did. Traded for a Forceful and a Brainstorm.
Gotta be happy.
Basically the best card I've ever seen. Here is a Mountain. Another Goblin Lackey. You have a Forceful and a Brainstorm for that?
Well, I might have Golgari Charm or Disfigure.
Or Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay. Tarmogoyf.
Well, you better have it.
Yeah, I make him. Oh, sorry, 2 Divine Top and 2 Counterbalance also rolled in.
Small package. Small package.
A small counterbalance package.
What side of the argument do you think Gerard is on with the 61 card deck? Do you think he's for it?
Yeah.
We love you, G-Fabs.
Well, I'm not cutting the recoil or the second days, so I'm playing 61 cards.
A Delta and a passing of the turn. There's a Taiga.
There are 2 dazes in this deck.
You can't play around everything when the numbers are all crazy.
Oh, it's impossible.
Yeah. Here's a Goblin War Chief. See if that resolves. Tom really wants to get in there with the Goblins. I understand. He has got 4 Rabble Masters in his deck, too. Gerard reading the Lackey. I think this is a bit of a bluff. I think you know what Goblin Lackey does, Gerard.
Have you ever gotten a draw with goblins?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. So Tom at 4-1-1, this doesn't surprise you?
I've gotten a draw against Miracles playing against Joe Lissette.
Okay. Fair enough.
We had a really just long stretch of games. There was a lot of me activating Vile with counters on it, not putting anything into play. Just posturing, making him think the entire time. Because that's technically what you're supposed to do, and I really wanted to beat him. Boom, Abrupt Decay. All right, here comes the War Chief, in for 2. Gerard will draw. It's important to get that War Chief off the table, though. The cost reduction is very important. Here's a Brainstorm. The only 4 of in the deck.
Lackey is the immediate concern, though.
Yes, don't let that thing hit you. If it hits you, you probably lose. But I like what Tom's got going on here.
You approve the list.
I do. I'm not a big Goblin Pile Driver guy, but I also haven't thought very hard about Goblins in a while, about where that card's lined up in the format. But I do like the fact that he's got 10 Street Hooligan and Tuk Tuk Scrapper. Krenko is the nuts against Sultai because they basically can't kill it.
Any reasonable 4-mana creature is insane against them if it gets into play.
Yeah. And Krenko being the true end boss, there's Disfigure to take care of the War Chief. But because Disfigure doesn't kill it, Abrupt Decay can't kill it, and they just really don't have a great way of getting it off of the table. So if he's... My game plan against Sultai decks previously, and this was a little while ago, was just to, matron that thing up. Get it into play. It's really hard for him to beat. Here's another War Chief.
Yeah.
2 more.
Goblins don't ever change.
No. If they ever get a new card, it's over. They win.
2 things in life I hope never change. Goblins and Gerard.
Yes.
You gotta have them square off
Yes.
here. It's very nice.
It's another Brainstorm. Yes, it is. 3 cards coming here for Fabiano. 2, of course, will go back, and he even has a Misty Rainforest in play. Gerard just likes the brew, man.
Well, a lot of these cards, we laugh, and some of this stuff is kind of funny, but it's all the same philosophy. A lot of these cards are very similar in terms of what they do, but he wants to have the flexibility and the utility of having different removal spells for different spots, different counter spells for different spots. 1 recoil is a hoot.
I want some recoil stories. That's what I want. Gonna sacrifice Misty Rainforest. I bet right now, among these 535 players, if we got on a loudspeaker and said, raise your hand if you know what recoil does, how many hands do you think go up?
So, a reasonable amount. Usually the legacy crowd bias is a little bit older.
Okay.
Recoil was a draft superstar and did see standard play during its time.
All right. There's Tarmogoyf. Oof.
Ugh.
This thing is no fun to play against. Yeah, I hope it's only a 1-2. I want to fix that die. 3-4, huh? All right, that's probably game. That's gigantic.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
That's
you're supposed to.
literally the biggest creature in the world.
It's got 7 total stat points.
Yes.
Which is a lot.
I think that's a foil Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, Gerard's collection has gotten pretty insane over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Beta Tropical Island over there. He's got a very, very nice Magic collection.
Whatever, gets killed by goblins all the same. Care if it's $200 or $5,000. What are we going to dial up here, Tom? Looks like a matron, perhaps?
Four Goblin Ringleader is pretty awesome.
Duh. Trigger. All right. Got some fun toolbox threats here. He's got a Sting Scorcher he can bounce Tarmogoyf with. He can go search for the Krenko now. I would not advise getting the Tarfire. That's not a good idea. But I am very pro Krenko in this situation because if that thing gets into play against Gerard, it's like super hard for him to beat.
Especially when it's assisted with haste.
Indeed. Looks like he will search for the mob boss.
Yeah.
This thing ain't no joke.
Krenko plus Goblin Rabble Master? Are you kidding me?
Say it good. That's a million damage. And the Rabble Master has haste, mind you.
So much damage, it'll break our screen. We won't be able to display how deep into the negatives Gerard's life total goes.
Let's see what Gerard has here. A dig through time. That card's better than every card in Goblins.
I don't know, the Ringleader is sort of like a dig through time.
Yeah, they're basically the same card.
Dig through time, and then in parentheses, 4 goblins.
Gerard's going to look at 7 here. He'll get to take 2 with him. All right, he has found something he's happy with. I would not be feeling great if I was Tom right now. It's funny because Gerard builds kind of all these wacky decks, but they've all revolved around dig through time for the past, X months.
And that's another incentive for him to build these decks with all these 1s and 2-ups. His dig through time is especially potent when your deck's got some funky numbers in it.
Yeah.
The selection's very valuable.
Tarmogoyf's coming in the red zone. Abrupt Decay is going to take care of the War Chief. Pass that turn back, hoping Tom doesn't have a 4th land. He'll draw. Picked up a copy of Tarfire. Could get the Rabble Master going.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about it. Well, bam.
There's Rabble Master. It's a
No,
real clock.
you are not turning into
Oh,
Oh,
dazed.
come on.
Dazed. That's been dazed. 2 of those. That first one was pretty good.
Wouldn't surprise me if Gerard took that off of the dig through time, as he was also worried about the Krenko potentially.
Yep,
so
true.
Getting Rabble Master is not bad.
Get him for 1. Pass the turn back. Fabiano will draw. It's a ponder.
Ladies and gentlemen, our last side event.
Tarmogoyf is bigger now.
They're going to be a standard winner box or a booster draft. If you'd like to
Shuffle it
get
up.
into
Gerard
the
still needs to find another answer for the Krenko here. A removal spell or a counter spell or something. If it gets into play and he can't answer it, he's in a lot of trouble.
He's in a world of trouble.
come see us at the stage.
Krenko will hold up the Tarmogoyf forever and then eventually kill him.
And a lot of Gerard's reasonable cards, things like Tassiker or like additional Tarmogoyfs, they are not helpful.
There's another Tarmogoyf. Need that land, Tom. That's not a land.
it's a
That's
4-mana spell.
It's another Rabble Master. Well, it might be time to cast the Matron, yeah. Is this going to resolve? Brainstorm in response here by Fabiano. 2 and 3. 2 cards will have to go back here in just a moment. Yeah, that's good. Now, unfortunately, taking a look at the deck list, there is no Mog War Marshal, which I like to call the Tarmogoyf speed bump. Delays it for a little while. So we're going to have to work our way in a kind of chump block city. Might be time for the old Sting Scourger. That'll bounce 1 by a little time. There it is. Time is what we need. Tarmogoyf's breathing down.
Fortunately, Tom here at 12. Not a lot of time left.
Hey, he can You can take a hit from both of them. You can chump block one now. What do we have here? Ugh.
The one Golgari charm.
It's only attack for 6.
Yep.
Down to 6. Come on with the G charm.
Yeah, there's one of those.
You have a follow-up too? Oh, a Tassiger? Come on, dude.
All these fun ofs.
They've all been really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they have been.
I bet here comes land number 4. Yep, Cavern of Souls, right on time. Gerard Fabiano's going to win game number 1 here over Tom Macrae. Sultai Control is up a game over Goblins after Gerard gets unbelievably lucky to win the game.
Land number 4 there earlier for Tom, and I think we got a different game there. Krenko would have been some trouble, but
Yeah.
didn't find it in time, and Gerard took a very aggressive approach to closing out that game before Krenko could get online.
Let's take a look at the sideboards here. We'll start with Tom. He's got his 4 Thalias. Oh boy, 3 Magus of the Moon. That's a delight. 2 Pyrokinesis, a Sting Scorcher, 3 Relic Progenitus, and 2 Pithing Needles. I'm going to drive the car on this one. Get those Maguses in there, that's for sure. Pyrokinesis is actually pretty bad. Additional copy of Sting Scorcher is actually pretty good because you're playing against a deck that doesn't have artifacts, I think we presume.
Right.
But we haven't gotten a Gerard sideboard just yet. Relic Progenitus is pretty good as well. You're playing against Sultai deck, so you can assume Deathrite Shaman plus Tarmogoyf. You've already seen Tarmogoyf. You have not seen Deathrite Shaman yet. And then the Needles, I don't really care for those all that much. So
Planeswalkers are not that powerful against Goblins. You can usually attack pretty effectively. So I'm with you. I like the Relics a lot. I like the additional copy of Sting Scorcher and Magus of the Moon if it shows up. Gerard is playing 1 Island and 1 Swamp, so we can play a little bit against it, but Magus of the Moon has the potential to be a game winner on its own.
what do we see on Gerard's side? This is 15 singletons, you
15
said?
singletons,
Okay.
naturally. A Disfigure, a Liliana of the Veil, a Snapcaster Mage, a Scavenging Ooze, an Echoing Truth, a Duress, a Nile Spellbomb, a Flusterstorm, an Inquisition of Kozilek, a Pernicious Deed, a Force of Will, a Blue Elemental Blast, a Submerge, a Hydroblast, and a Sylvan Library. The 2 blue blasts seem very easy to bring in. The Inquisition of Kozilek seems good. Pernicious Deed is a superstar, and I think that Disfigure, Snapcaster Mage, and Scavenging Ooze all are upgrades.
A lot of those cards I don't want to play against if I were a Goblins player. So
Pernicious Deed is especially brutal.
a complete disaster. One of the last cards I would want to play against. Season 3 schedule is where we're headed, as Season 2 is just about done here. So we'll start with our Modern Grand Prix in Charlotte, June 12th through the 14th, Star City Games /GP Charlotte for more information about that. Then we'll go to Indy, take a stop in Baltimore for a standard open. Then we'll go to Chicago for the first time, July 18th through the 19th. After that, we're going to Richmond for a little standard action. We'll go to DC for some legacy action. You'll get a weekend off. I'll be joining Matthias for that one. So
That
enjoy the
is,
weekend off.
yeah, that's my Grand Prix battle weekend.
Okay, fair enough. We'll go to London after that, August 14th through the 16th. More details will be coming about that at Star City Games as soon as we have them for you. Modern Open Series in Charlotte, August 22nd and the 23rd. And then we'll wrap it up in Jersey with some standards, some legacy, and hopefully a fire alarm. What do you think?
Well, I know that we can do 2 of those 3 things.
So standard and the fire alarm.
Yeah, well, Legacy and a standard Open Series event, but the Fire Alarm, there's no guarantee.
Fair enough. August 28th through the 30th should be fun. We will crown a champion, give someone $10,000, and of course their likeness on a card, and then qualify them for the Players Championship there. Season 3 is going to be fun. Looking forward to Chicago the most of those things, actually. And in Chicago and all of our other Season 3 dates, you can get this brand new playmat. This is our Season 3 mat. It's Tassipur, the Golden Paw.
Hanging out with a dog, who I believe may be a slave, still happy, so maybe just a regular dog that's just happy to exist, like most dogs are.
Yep.
And a very manipulative, deceptive, thoughtful cat. Available anytime you enter any of our 2-day 20K Open Series events during Season 3.
Get ready here for game number 2. Fabiano taking a look at his opening hand. Tom doing the same. Gerard's going to mulligan. Tom is going to keep. So if you're Tom right now, you're looking for one of those 1-drops. You're looking for a Lackey or a Vial. Make him have the answers to the Lackey. Vial's the better of the 2, so it generates more mana. And given that you've seen Gerard has a card like Disfigure in his deck, the chance of your Lackey living very low. Also, a card like Deathrite Shaman gets in the way. So you want to have a Vial on turn 1 if you can. That can generate a huge advantage because it forces Fabiano to have exactly Abrupt Decay.
Shuts off a lot of his counter spells as well.
Yes.
You get a lot worse. Like the 2 Force of Wills or the 2 Dazes. Or the 1 counter spell. Or the 2 counterbalances. With the 2 Divine Tops.
Fabiano is keeping after only looking at 2 cards, I think. I've never seen this before.
You've never seen this Gerard do this? He
No.
does this all the time.
No, this is all new to me. He'll draw a card now. Thoughts issue. That means the lackey's going to hit, folks. Well, the card's in hand. He's got a War Chief and a Rabble Master and 3 lands and a mountain, a Bloodstained Mire, and a Wasteland.
Classic Goblin Lackey plus Haste creature deck.
Yep. Combo. Combo deck.
But Wasteland plus something to put in play is pretty awesome.
Also, just peel a Ringleader, peel a Matron, peel a Krenko. Picked up the Rabble Master. There's the Wasteland. Get that weak stuff out of here. Coming in for 1. Trigger, gonna hit ya. I like the War Chief here.
Sets you up for a Rabble Master hard cast next turn before combat.
That can't be countered. But Macrae's gonna go a different route. He'll just put the Rabble Master in right now. There's a Misty Rainforest.
Yeah, it doesn't get countered regardless because you can't counter a Lackey trigger and there's a Cavern in play.
Yep. Wasteland the draw. See, because now he's playing like a little, I guess, off curve for lack of a better term.
Yeah, there's no play this turn.
Yeah. There's a Goblin token. Ah, sleeved up version. In we come. Bunch of damage here. See, normally with Rabble Master, you only count the tokens, but it actually counts all goblins that attacks. That lack is getting a little bonus, a little trigger here. That War Chief into play. I hope. No? That's getting a little too creative for me.
Do you think he's playing around some sort of sweeper potentially?
Well, we can't beat anything. We're playing goblins.
Right.
So that's getting a little too creative for me.
Yeah.
Like, there's no 2-mana sweeper you're playing around.
Maybe he feels like it doesn't really do anything for him this turn. And next turn he can just cast it he can still just cast it pre-combat if he's feeling so inclined.
Yeah, but he might draw something next turn he wants to cast. That's better.
No, I agree. You've just been down this road a lot more than I have, so I want to know if there's some oddball card he's thinking about here.
Just a little too cute. You want to get this game over with. Brainstorm here. A couple cards. Just figure among them. Two cards going to go back. I mean, Gerard did have to search for a basic, which is a bonus because Tom played a Wasteland. But
well, it's tough because, you know, his deck is kind of strained on colored mana sources. He will need to cast probably Tarmogoyf Waif at some point to block. I think he's got another Delta in hand, so should be able to get a green source of mana at some point. He does have to get basics for the time being.
yep.
He can't get hit with another Wasteland, given how behind he already is.
Fabiano looks like he may be passing the turn back. Yep. Macrae on tap. Time to draw. Picked up a copy of Taiga. Flooding out a little bit here. There's the Bloodstained Mire. Gonna sacrifice that. We'll get a red source of mana here in just a moment. It'll be a basic mountain. And in a moment, we'll have a, I believe, an encounterable Goblin War Chief.
Yeah. Because at this point, if you're in Tom's position, you have to assume, all right, there's probably one removal spell coming.
Yep.
And you need to be able to beat a removal spell.
Gerard gonna search up some black mana. Basic swamp. Let's see what this is.
Perhaps a Hydro or Blue Elemental Blast.
Okay. It'll start with Disfigure on the Rabble Master. So that's gone. And now here's the War Chief. Here are the attackers. It'll be for 4 points of damage. No Goblin to put into play. And just going to pass that turn back over to Fabiano, who will take a draw step. Tarmogoyf ends up being a big problem here.
Tom peels most goblins. That should be good enough to get a kill.
Yep.
But Tarmogoyf is definitely trouble for Tom if he's got no action in hand and draws nothing next turn.
Tropical Isle on the weapon of choice. Gerard's going to get to use this one time, given the wasteland that's over there on Tom's side. He'll make the most of it. There is Tarmogoyf. Time to peel a goblin. See if Macrae can do that. Rabble Master is a goblin.
And what a goblin. You see the nod of the head there.
Yeah.
Not just a goblin.
It's Goblin Rabble Master. It's uncounterable. And it's cheaper to cast. A token. The beatdowns. Tom Macrae is going to tie it up
Look at
here
that.
against Gerard Fabiano.
Look at that.
Goblins and Sultai Control will play a third game. The problem here is that Gerard gets to play first for game 3.
Yep.
It gets a lot harder then.
Interesting to see what Gerard's approach to the matchup is. You saw him to Torak in his hand there. Typically not the type of card you would think of being good against goblins, but I think Gerard's game plan here might be just to win the card advantage battle, remove everything that Tom can really play, and use Tarmogoyf for Tassiker to lock things up.
That should be the plan, and it's a good one against goblins.
And if Gerard liked him to Torak on the draw, I assume he's keeping it in on the play as well.
He didn't even reach for a sideboard, though he is starting to take a look at his deck a little bit now, so perhaps he'll change things up. We'll see. You see Gerard's sleeves, however, the kitty cats from our Spring Creature Collection. And that's what we'll talk about right now. Of course, we do have that. We also have the bee and the bunny, and then the Delver of Squeakrits.
All available card sleeves, playmats, and dice bags at rcgames.com/creature collection to order your items today, or just head over to our dealer booth at any of our opens or any Grand Prix that we're vending at.
Gerard, a big fan, though, so he's just playing them in Cleveland, too. But the cat has been probably our most successful
Shocker.
of the game night series.
Shocker.
Well, no one likes a bee, and bunnies are sweet, but bunnies are just not as sweet as cats.
I don't know. The rumor that I've heard from some people over at Star City who are typically informed about these sort of things is that the bee's also been pretty popular.
I'm surprised. I truly am surprised.
But that nothing's ever been that kid in playmat.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but while I was playing at the Smartenth Invitational for Zach Hill, I was stung by a bee in the face while I was asleep.
Yep.
That's how I woke up on Sunday.
I was about to say you probably did something to upset them, but then you said while asleep.
I actually did nothing to upset them. This is why I'm scared of them. You ever been woken up by being stung in the face?
No.
Yeah. That's my life. That bee died. But it won the battle and the war.
I mean, you're still here. So
I'm more scared of them than ever before.
it depends how you score these things, but I feel like you're ahead, all told.
Doesn't feel like it. Tom going to take a mulligan. It looks like Gerard's going to keep his 7. Just completely unnecessary. I was running away from the bees most of the time I was there. I was staying out of their general direction.
Showing them the proper respect.
Yes.
Just didn't matter.
Leaving the doors open and everything so they could fly in and out. I know I was in their space. Can Tom find 6? He's happy enough. That's a Thoughtseize. Yeah, that's bad news. That's okay. I mean, you lose your Vial. Hand with 2 relics, a Vial, a Magus of the Moon, Pile Driver, and a Taiga.
This is actually a hand that's pretty robust against a Thoughtseize.
Yeah, I mean, losing your Vial stinks, obviously, but it's not the end of the world. Like, Relic is actually really good against Gerard's deck.
Yeah, I think Tom was just hoping to, play the Vial on 1, keep him busy for a little while, then sneak in a Magus there while Gerard was tapped out.
Yeah. Not the end of the world. Pass the turn back over to Fabiano.
Relic is very nice against Gerard's deck. There's a lot of delving in this thing.
He's got Tarmogoyf. He's got Dig Through Time, Tassiker.
Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah. I'm happy with the Relic against this deck. Gerard's been building decks over the course of this year and the back end of last year that really do abuse the graveyard. So a card like Relic Progenitor is really good.
Gerard loves to delve.
There's a counterbalance. I'm gonna remove a card. There goes the Misty. Pass turn back. Goblin Lackey the draw. Maybe slide that old boy in there.
Gotta cast it.
Yeah, you do have to cast it. Trigger. Polluted Delta. The whiff. Do I expect it to live? No.
But
You have to cast it.
can't wait. Not getting better.
There's a Delta. That's a Hydroblast. Yeah, it's dead, Tom. Thoughtseize going to get removed from Relic. Tom will draw. Land number 2 is a Bloodstained Mire. Another Relic coming. Keep that graveyard in check.
Now, Gerard does have Brainstorm in hand. He can try to Brainstorm and set up Counterbalance, which appears to be the case here, but that Brainstorm is pretty valuable just as a all-purpose counterspell, or not necessarily all-purpose, but to be able to counter something critical. So I understand going for the card advantage route, but maybe he's just supposed to hold tight.
Well, that Brainstorm did just draw 3 lands, so Gerard's going to sacrifice the Polluted Delta anyway and see if he can maybe spike a reveal here. It was not a very good Brainstorm.
Yep. Yeah, it's possible in Gerard's spot there I would have just preferred to let that resolve and save the Brainstorm for something else. While nothing's really going on in the game.
Reveal, Disfigure.
Okay, well, that's why I'm here hanging out with you, and he's down there.
Booth's pretty comfy. Pretty comfy over here.
Brainstorm away 3 lands and then blind reveal. All right. There you go.
Remove a card. There goes the Delta. Tom will draw. There's land number 3. It's a Wasteland. I'm going to sacrifice the Bloodstained Mire. Go down to 19. You always got a Magus to the Moon. And Magus is okay in this position.
Remember, Gerard's deck with a swamp, but no forest. So, for the time being, he'd be cut off a green.
Here's a War Chief, however. This might just get the Disfigure. We'll see.
Trying to bleed that spell out.
I guess it could get countered. Nope. Just a Bayou.
Gerard aware that Magus is still hanging out there, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit worrisome. Here comes the War Chief. Looks like Fabiano's going to take 2. See if he wants to sacrifice that Verdant Catacombs that's in play. Since he knows what his draw is going to be. Yeah, he'll sacrifice that. If you're Tom here, I like using the Relic now.
Yeah, Tom's gotten a little bit of a habit here of just using the Relic at the end of Gerard's turn. But with Gerard having so much delving in the deck, I think he just wants to use it preemptively to avoid Gerard nuking his entire graveyard for a discount on Dig Through Time or Tassiger.
Yeah, because if a Tassiger slides into play here, it's bad news.
Yeah, he can't keep him off of Tassiger this turn, but in general, I think Tom needs to just be activating it on his own turn if he's not going to be leaving up a mana.
Fabiano reaching for some mana. Looks like he's got something to do this turn. The War Chief, of course, does do a little cost reducing, and Fabiano knows that there is a Goblin Pile Driver over there. Does have a Brainstorm in hand.
Yeah, this is one of those spots where he can Brainstorm for help, or he can try to sit on that Brainstorm and counter something in conjunction with the counterbalance.
There's a Delta. Relic is activated. Fetch land goes away. Macrae will draw another copy of Magus to the Moon. Going to start with the War Chief. 2 damage will come across.
Ladies
And now it's time for the Magus.
In the standard challenge,
Trigger.
your next round
Brainstorm.
is going up.
So Gerard's going to try to put a 3 on top of the deck here.
Standard challenge. Please find your seats.
That'll make counterbalance perfect. We'll see if he has one, though. He's done brainstorming. think he's just going to float a black mana. Yep.
Yep. No
Take
3 to
care
be
of it.
found.
Nope. Sacrifice blue to Delta, as he knows what's on top of the deck. Clearly not happy with it. There's a Bayou.
But this is exactly the kind of spot where I think Tom needs to just be using the relic right now.
Yeah, me too.
Not a lot to be gained by waiting, and you don't want Gerard doing something on the super cheap
Gerard
via
rubs,
Tassiger or
dig through time. Gerard rubs those hands together. He needs a little bit of help here. Inquisition of Kozilek. Magus of the Moon and Goblin Pile Driver are the cards.
If Gerard's out, both of these cards are really bad news.
Yep.
Gerard may have to take the Pile Driver and just deal with the Magus somewhere down the line.
I think you might have to take the Magus and deal with the Pile Driver somewhere down the line. They're both bad news, though.
Yeah. And the problem is Magus it cuts off some of Gerard's outs, and Pile Driver kills so quickly.
Let's see what this is. Disfigure. Okay.
So now Gerard is on empty. He's got a land left in hand.
Remove a card, draw a card. Picked up a War Chief. Cast that. Counterbalance. Misty Rainforest. Still on empty. Attack for 2. Push it 8. Misty Rainforest is the draw. Gonna play it. Pass the turn back. Macrae will move a card with Relic Progenitus. We might have a win here from Goblins. We'll see. Macrae will draw.
Pile Driver in hand.
Ringleader's the draw. That's harder to counter. There is a Ringleader.
You can see Tom's face. He knows he's close.
Yes, he is. Does Gerard even have any 4s?
Jason the Mind Sculptor. And that's it.
No, that was Thoughtseize. That's not it. Trigger. Let's take a look at the top 4. Pithing Needle, Bloodstained Mire, Magus of the Moon, Goblin Matron. 1 out of 4 is not great, but it's not terrible.
This happens post-board when you're just siding in a bunch of cards like Pithing Needle and so forth.
An attack for 4 is going to put Fabiano down to 4. He's going down to 3 because he knows he's going to draw Thoughtseize, and that's not going to do anything.
But now at this point, it kind of has to be dig through time into multiple things or Pernicious Deed or something.
Yep.
Even Tarmogoyf's not good enough because that Pile Driver has to get blocked next turn. I guess a removal spell gives him 1 more draw. But Gerard's in trouble, and a lot of his individual outs aren't operative anymore.
He's going to need some help. Take a draw. Sweat it out. It's a good sweat. It always is. How'd we do? Must be something relevant.
He's got some good ones, but a lot of his, what are normally powerful cards in this spot, don't really work.
But what he needs, let's just go, ooh, that's actually pretty good. Scavenging
Okay.
Ooze. That's actually pretty good.
Okay.
And with the Relic being tapped, it's actually really good. Or the Relic being, the mana not being available.
The problem is Gerard's short on green mana.
Yep.
He can't go too crazy here.
But what he can do is he can remove 1, gain a life, go up to 4. His creature becomes a 3/3, and then he needs counterbalance to really cooperate.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was a very sharp play there from Tom, though. He relicked himself in response.
Absolutely.
Fizzle 1 activation.
Yep.
And that's where Tom got paid off for waiting a little bit there. It was not quite as good against some of the Delve cards.
There's a land. Oh, it's Gerard's sandbagging a green source. Oof, up to 5. That's a really big deal.
So he still has an opportunity to trade with the Pile Driver and get another draw, even if he misses with the counterbalance.
Counterbalance got to be good now, though.
Yeah.
Draws a plateau.
And Tom can Matron first, too, and see if the coast is clear.
Yep. There is a Matron. Trigger gonna look.
And if Tom gets another Pile Driver, at that point, Gerard has to have a 2.
Yep. He's gonna get Sting Scourger. He's got to have 2 now.
Right. Same deal.
Yep. It's the ultimate test. Sting Scourger, Trigger, Liliana the Veil. Yeah, and that's going to do it. Tom Macrae is going to win this match here over Gerard Fabiano. Goblins will take care of Sultai Control. That means it moves on to 5-1-1.
So Gerard's a very close friend of mine. I've known him for a very long time, and he is on the hunt for an invite to the Players' Championship. I would like to see him block it up. But sometimes Legacy can be a life-affirming, heartwarming format, And never is that truer when you see Goblins win a match.
Rarely do we get to see it happen.
Just an honest deck. It's got all the Goblins from the last, 15, 16 years of Magic. There's usually one every block that's a reasonable inclusion. Doesn't necessarily make the cut. It is a definite legacy deck. In that sense of legacy deck being the whole card pool and all these weird interactions from Magic's history. And when it does pick up a win, which as you mentioned, less and less frequent now than it was maybe 8 years ago,